So I'm going to talk to you today about how you're going to gain massive distance, better ball striking and just improve your game generally. Well, this happened with an online student, so there's no reason why it can't happen to you. Let's get stuck into it. It's become obviously a really popular thing, and that's because of technology. So people have better quality mobile phones, better quality cameras, and the internet and stuff. It's just really easy to send swings and get advice and feedback. And students will do a couple of things. Some people that I work with will just send swings from the garden, happy to work on the technique. Others will do things on the course, or they might even get some launch data, using TrackMan, FlightScope, etc. quad. Now, a student of mine sent some stuff over where he had a session on TrackMan, and he kind of said, pretty typical, 7 irons, not going exactly very far, should we say. And this golfer was producing a typical thing, really, which was striking down on the golf ball, so getting kind of good attack angle numbers, but producing loads of spin, and the launch angle, if you like, our impact with the 7 iron was returning very similar to the launch that they started with. Now, what this basically means is the student in mind was kind of starting with about 30 degrees of loft, was striking down on the golf ball absolutely fine, but when he was hitting it, he was kind of producing the same loft that he started with. So he was coming down with the same. So all this was doing is this was just producing loads of spin. So the contact was okay. But if you start with 30 degrees, like so, and then you hit it with 30 degrees, the golf ball is not going to go very far. So what I suggested to him was to do a couple of things. The first thing was, in the setup position, make sure the handle of the club is on the instep of your lead thigh. Okay, so we're starting with the feeling of the club being slightly de-lofted. The second thing that I wanted him to do is I wanted him to think about width in the backswing, because what this golfer was doing is he wasn't turning very good and he was sort of bending his arms. And the problem is when you don't turn very well and you bend your arms, you watch the club face. See the way it gets really open. Now you look at it compared to this one. If I think about straight arms, keeping my head nice and still, look at the club face now. Okay, so that was the first thing that I did. I asked him just to do some practice swings, shaft angle, grip it there, nice and wide. Okay, like so. Now, what I then wanted him to do is I wanted him to experience what it should be like to kind of change the idea of it. So instead of like allowing him to come down like this with an open face, I wanted him to kind of experiment with the feeling of keeping the club much lower to the ground and kind of hitting more up on the golf ball. And what that'll do is that would help him compress the ball. So the way in which we did it is we did it 2 ways. We changed the idea. What we did is we swung back with nice width, and then we started with the feeling of trying to get the club head onto the ground as soon as he possibly could. Okay, so it was wide here. Okay, and then what we tried to do is he kind of then started going, well, how would I get to the back of the ball? And I said, well, that's where your turn would come in. So we started going wide, down, turn. And all of a sudden, you see, if you can go like that, you're going to get that sort of sound. And that's what it took. It only took this golfer a couple of goes to build up that coordination to go from arms bending, chopping lots of loft, to something that looked wider and sounded more like that. And that's exactly what I want you guys to do. So you need to sometimes have a little bit of experimentation and do it this way. So get self set up, shaft angle on the instep of your lead thigh, nice and wide, and then 1 down here, like a pump drill, and then try and turn through the golf ball. And if you can do it that way, there might be times when you completely miss-hit it, but your brain is then going to learn the importance of rotation to get through the golf ball, and it's going to give you the better way of producing less loft. See where I'm here? See how as I turn my body, that helps me get my hands forward. If I don't turn my body and I throw my arms at it, I'm going to end up looking like my student before. So it's wide, wide, turn. Let me show you a few of those from side on. Same as before. Wide, wide, turn. Wide, wide, turn. And you can see those, they're producing less spin. Do that, build up your coordination, and as time goes on, you'll become more and more confident with it, and you'll be able to start getting the feeling of how to put it together in a longer swing. But again, you are capable. Every golfer that I ever meet is capable of more. Well, unless it's like an elitist golfer, who's probably not, but 95% of golfers that I meet are capable of doing more with less. So things like feelings of straighter arms and more of this kind of sensation of keeping the club face square and a better rotation, that's the secret to success. Let me know how you go on. I'll see you guys again really soon.